First Peter. Okay, I think you will see how powerful and relevant this book is. Let's just begin with the thought here from verse 1. How the letter begins. First Peter chapter 1, verse 1, Amplified Bible, guys. A living hope and the third salvation. Peter, an apostle, special messenger, personally chosen representative of Jesus Christ. To those elect, both Jewish and Gentile believers who live as exiles scattered throughout Pontus, Galatia, Cappadocia, Asia Minor, and Bithynia, or are chosen. Now, first of all, we have the author of the letter. It's Peter. And all I know is Peter. Peter probably the second most potent man in the gospel after Jesus himself. Peter, the same one who walked on the waters and who sank in the water. Peter, the same one who confessed that Jesus was the Christ, the Messiah, the Son of the living God. And Peter, the same one who was rebuked by Jesus Christ just a moment later. Peter, the same one who protested that he would never deny Christ. And then a few minutes later, he did deny Christ. And Peter, who was restored from his denial by Jesus along the shores of the Sea of Galilee. This Peter was writing. And he writes, as you notice in verse 1, and says, as an apostle. Now, what I find fascinating about this is to compare this just a little bit with Paul's letters. You know, most of the New Testament letters were written by the Apostle Paul. This is one of the only two letters written by Peter. When Paul introduces himself in his letters, it always has a phrase, something like this. Paul, an apostle, by the will of God. Something very similar to that. You notice Peter doesn't do that in this letter. And I think one of the reasons why is that Paul was an apostle born out of due time. Peter was an apostle from the very beginning. To put it bluntly, no one questioned Peter's apostolistic credentials. So he said, on that Peter, an apostle, notice who he writes to. Of Jesus Christ, to the pilgrims, to the dispersion in Pontus, Galilee, Galatian, Cappadocia, Asia, Pannonia. He addresses the Christians that he writes to here in the first century. And he's probably writing around the year 64 AD. That's what the most scholars wrote, somewhere around there. So we're talking about to maybe 30 years or so after Jesus has ascended to heaven. He's writing to them, and the first thing he calls these believers are pilgrims. You understand what the idea of a pilgrim is, right? We're coming up to Thanksgiving 2024. So we're thinking of the pilgrims, and we think of the guys with the Quaker Oats hats, you know, and you know the buckles on their shoes. Well, most people were called pilgrims because they didn't settle down in one place. They were looking for a place to settle down. And that is what a pilgrim is. A pilgrim is someone who has not yet settled down in a place, but is searching for a place to settle down. Now, our place for believers to settle down is not in this world. Cool place for believers to settle down is in heaven.